welcome to DRBMiller Daily Podcast for Thursday, 25th of March of 2021. A warm welcome to all of our friends, fans, community members, participants and viewers on various platforms worldwide. Thank you for joining us, thank you for being our valued community members every single day, and thank you to all who are taking time to write. I'm receiving messages from every corner of the planet, and I'm so glad to see that there are so many people out there who are interested in connecting with us and talking about video gaming world and all that is related. So how are you all today? Very very bright sunny spring day here in London suburbs. We had really very warm temperatures. Today was about 12-13 degrees when I woke up, so it was really quite extraordinary, proper spring. And it looks like it's getting a bit cloudy, a bit murky, probably some rain later in the day, which is disappointing because certainly since I had my vaccine on Saturday, I was going out early in the day to get some daylight, to get some sun, which indeed has been absent from my life for more than 6 months. 13 months in quarantine. Honestly, it's been a very very difficult period for me and for everyone around here. We are also facing an extension of this lockdown in view of what's happening on the continent, and you know, really lots of hours are ahead of us spending time indoors. And what better way to do it but through video gaming and various Twitch and YouTube channels live online, because we connect with our friends worldwide, we make new acquaintances, we make new bonds and have a lot of fun, share all of our news, talk about all the novelties and everything that's been going on in our vicinity as well as in the rest of the world. So really a very very good way through which we can connect, can make new acquaintances and indeed create squads and online communities. So we talked about it quite a bit during the last few days, and I was very grateful to all of our friends who are emailing. There were actually a few email messages in response to our yesterday's stream. I'm very very grateful to all who wrote, and the messages were really concerning well, the business of streaming. And I'm glad to see that people are picking up on this, because really I did say a little while back on my usual Destiny broadcast that we will be having a separate slot in which people are going to be able to discuss various Twitch and YouTube stream related issues, and these are going to be questions in response to how to run a channel, how to build a community, how to really maintain the pressure which builds as you are trying to really introduce new members to your group of subscribers or followers, etc etc. So we are going to be looking at a few of these, and also we have a wonderful weekend ahead. And we have first of all, and most importantly, unexpectedly, one of the best games of the last year, and also a game that was released on the 10th of November together with the rest, Watch Dogs Legion, a game that I really want to play from its release date, offered now for a free trial for the whole weekend starting out today. So it's 4 days from today to end of Sunday. We can get in and try the game for free. I think literally all the activities are easily accessible. This is a massive big open world game. It's unlikely that we are going to be able to even scratch the surface, but you know, it's the best possible way through which we get our very very good introduction. And you will know from my previous broadcasts and various other sessions that I really enjoy introducing games, and well, it's twofold, isn't it? I'm introducing a game to myself and then to the world and to our community. I'm very glad to see that some people are following my recommendations and, you know, receive sometimes messages which indicate, well, thank you very much for recommending this game. We've never heard of it, but it's actually wonderful. I had 2 or 3 messages in response to my broadcast and recommendations on the what's it called? It's called Underground, Going Under, and this is a wonderful indie game available on all platforms, and I streamed it as it was available on free play and just loved it. You know, it's just really top notch, and people really were very grateful. I've had 2 messages coming in saying, we've never heard of this game, but we looked at your broadcast, we picked up some of your tweets, and we kind of thought it looked interesting, watched other people's streams on YouTube, and decided to buy it. And indeed, it is a wonderful indie game with lots of activities and comprising the elements of a kind of highly political RPG with dungeon crawler. So, you know, yet one in a line of many of recommendations that I have been, not recommendations, praises I've been receiving here on the channel in view of the recommendations presented to the world, and very happy to see and to hear that people are enjoying some of these things, because, you know, streaming is a business in which you are going to be sharing some deep personal issues, activities, experiences online with your community, and sometimes it gets very personal, it gets really very in-depth, as we've seen with lots of our participants in Warzone, Destiny and Apex communities. People become very closely bonded, and I think Warzone community of late was probably one of the most in-depth personal communities online that I've ever created, and very proud of it, but also a bit, you know, surprised, astonished to see that we could create such bonds so quickly. But it's down to the participants, it's down to people who are, you know, coming in and wanting to join forces. It's down to their character, the way they approach others, the way they want to build communities and you know, make new acquaintances. So all of that's been definitely of assistance and turned out to be really remarkable. Coming back to the other thread, just bear with me. Coming back to what I said earlier, we are really looking at an evolution of the entire system in which people are becoming connected through online gaming, and we talked quite a bit about games becoming communities and social networks, in addition to being just games for people to enjoy. And therefore I think we are really reaching a new stage in the overall development of video game industries. We are really looking at quite a number of new things developing, like for instance in-game communication, and I think the recent rumors on Discord becoming part of Microsoft family is probably a step in that sort of direction, because Discord is an app that people use for in-game chats and communication, and I think it is very likely that Microsoft will be wanting to bring in the elements of that to everyday online gameplay, and maybe to get incorporated within the overall project of Game Pass, which is their streaming service. So coming back to my earlier point about War Dogs Legion, I'm very delighted to see that the game is offered free of charge this weekend, and we are going to be able to engage with all the activities, the vast majority I believe, and I just highly recommend to everyone to download it. It's just extraordinary. This is a new game, it's been out for less than 6 months. It did receive huge amount of praise and a lot of attention from everyone and everywhere, and we are going to be certainly connecting with, so sorry, my voice playing up yesterday and today for some reason, don't know what the reason for that is. I'd like to invite everyone to download the game and try it, and perhaps join us here live online. It is on Xbox, and it's also accessible on PlayStation, PC, so you know, everyone on any platform can basically download it and experience some of those activities. Particularly excited because the very central section of the game, the nucleus of the campaign and story-based activity, is indeed located in the area where I previously worked and lived, which is in very central London on Clerkenwell and Old Street, and very delighted to see that I'll be walking around there, driving cars and literally just strolling around the area where my office was, and you know, delighted. I've seen that actually on their live presentation online during the Xbox presentation as the new games and the console were being launched, so it was quite an experience. And you know, it's a bit like seeing on Sky News, your family home being displayed. That, it's the same sort of experience. But most importantly, it's an interactive experience where you are doing something with others. There's other characters in there. You will know that what Watch Dogs Legion is about this corporation overtaking the system of security and trying to impose tyranny upon citizens of our city, and then people just kind of rebelled, created factions that were fighting against it. So lots of activity, lots of connections, and I think what I'm particularly excited about is being able to see how the selection of new faction members is going to work, because they talked about the selection being infinite, meaning that any member of the community, anybody who you would meet out on the street as you walk the streets of London in the game, can potentially be selected. So I'm curious to see how this is going to work, and whether this is likely to be just based on AI, or whether you can introduce that character to the multiplayer. So a lot for me to explore, and I wanted to stream it straight away today, but we are not going to be able to access the game before 5 o'clock, I think. I think they said 5 o'clock Central European, so that is probably 4 o'clock PM UK time. And, I'll just wait until then, and then we'll crack on. We get our teeth in, and we'll do everything possible in order to enjoy the game and hammer it and get as much as possible sorted, done, completed, and then imported into the game at a later stage once we purchased it. The other thing is we have other 3 games which are offered free of charge on free play this weekend, and very, very interested in that as well. And the games are as follows. We have Need for Speed, and that is accessible through EA Play on Xbox Game Pass. We have Civilization, Sid Meier's strategy game, and then we have Tekken 7. Civilization and Tekken 7 we already did have previously, I think once or twice, and I played both of them, both through free play, as well as, well, actually Civilization I did not stream on my channel, but Tekken I did. And then we have Need for Speed. Well, yet again, it's a car racing, car driving game. I'm not really inclined towards driving games, and I'll probably give that one a miss. But still, I think for myself, my weekend is going to be absolutely dedicated to War Dogs Legion. And for anyone else who's into maybe fighting, there's Tekken 7 for you. There's Sid Meier's Civilization if you're into real-time strategy. You have Need for Speed if you want to be driving. So that's really truly remarkable. Plenty of games for free available this weekend. And you can see how, for instance, our friends from various publishers and developers are attracting more and more interest through offering these massive blockbusters on short periods of time for free, knowing that nobody indeed can finish the game because it's so massive, and there's thousands of hours spent on building those factions and fighting the enemy, creating and exploring some pockets of the open world, and it just seems to be really a very, very good time to become a gamer. So if you're not one of us, then you can join our community, and it's a great place to start. So how do you do that? Well, first of all, you want to be watching some other people's Twitch channels, or maybe some YouTube channels as well. You want to get a bit knowledgeable on what people do if they're streaming and what types of games are very popular. Then decide on your niche, decide on a type of game that you really like, a game that you will find always interesting, either a particular genre like sci-fi operas like Mass Effect or Destiny, or even into Battle Royale, Warzone and Apex. And then you just, get your teeth in to that game and make sure that you are trying to master it. Most importantly, you choose either a multiplayer or choose a game that's very present on Twitch, so you can really immediately connect with others, because what we do today is all about communication and connectivity and bonding with other gamers and streamers worldwide. It's just wonderful, and the whole experience of that had massively evolved since 2015, and I went to a forum that was run by Twitch about 2 years ago now, I think, and there was a team of the executives and people from the development team doing presentations and telling us all about the company and all that they have in stock. And they just said, it's unbelievable. We never thought in 2013, 2014 that we would get this degree of exponential rise. It was phenomenal, and we couldn't believe that Twitch would be so popular, not just with people who are into serious gaming, but also with everyone else who is dedicated to messaging and connecting with other communities like various Facebook groups and etc. etc. And it just opened up this whole horizon of ideas, the whole string of possibilities where a game like Destiny or Fallout or Elder Scrolls will become a social network in itself, and that's really quite something. And you could see, for instance, with Warzone, we already had several other additional networks built in order to communicate on other platforms, and it only would be fitting if they created something like Discord, which is just embedded within the game itself, so that the community members could automatically communicate. And I'm sure it will be coming. It is going to be invented. We're not there yet, but what better time to get to know about all these things but today, as you have, first of all these games offered free of charge. Obviously you will need your equipment, you'll need your software, you'll need your hardware in order to run the show. But on the other hand, if you join the streaming services, initially you have special offers. Xbox Game Pass, $1 for 1 or 3 months, depending on what region of the world you're in, and you can just hammer it for that period, find out whether you like it or not. And I can assure you, you spend like a week in that world of phenomenal AAA blockbusters and all the games as presented today, you will never leave. It's just it's like living in a massive library of great titles which you can access at any time on a fixed flat subscription price. This was never possible before, and I talked quite a lot in my podcasts during the last couple of weeks of my own personal experience, where I remember when living in Notting Hill, I would go to I lived near Westway, at the end of Portobello Road, and the first shop in Britain that was offering second-hand computer games was on Queensway Road, on Bayswater Road, which is outside of the Notting Hill tube station. So it was a bit of a walk from one end of Notting Hill to another, but always thoroughly enjoyable. There's always something going on in there. Very pleasant local environment with a market and stalls, shops, you name it. And then I went there almost every day after work, because I worked in a therapeutic community that was based in there, and we had really fairly flexible hours. It was very easy to combine, and the shop was open to about 8 o'clock at night, so it meant I could really easily stroll and then have a look at whatever came to the shop. After that, I would just go and have my dinner, and after that go to see a movie or go to see a gig. And that's the way my days were in those days. It was like really packed out with activity, day and night. So I knew some of the guys who worked in the shop, and they were really knowledgeable on anything and everything computer related. That included also lots of PC games, which were at the time just being distributed. And then we had lengthy chats, we'd look at the games, but the difficulty there was the games were extremely expensive. I remember the games at the time were offered on prices between £15 and £35. It was second hand. Brand new games costing more than 50, and they were also distributed in very large boxes. You had a very big box with lots of instructions inside, and initially many floppy disks, and then later there were CDs and DVDs. And principally, you couldn't try a game before you bought it. And obviously you could see it maybe on somebody else's computer if a friend of yours bought the same title, but the way to experience a game was simply by purchasing it. And therefore the number of people who were in possession of a home computer was relatively small, and even a smaller number of people who had enough money to invest in such expensive games. So quite frankly, an ordinary gamer would maybe purchase 2 to 4 games a year, because the prices, and the games were fairly short, and once you finish them, you can, they had really huge element of replayability, because there were difficulty levels, and you will remember platformers, some of them were really tricky, and you really have to master some of the skills, like Doom for instance, in order to get through. And the list just goes on and on with the titles and the attempts to which people kind of replayed some of these games. This is all different today, because like what we had with music industry, we today have music streamed live online for free, and therefore the entire way through which music is experienced changed radically compared to the days where we would pay £16 for vinyl, whilst I'll be paying £3 or £4, even 50 pence to see a group live. And the idea was, if you purchased the vinyl, it was there, it was there for you to keep. you'll be with you forever, which in fact is quite true. If you had a very high quality turntable and you treated your vinyl kindly, the vinyl's still playing today as it would then. And I still have quite a good selection of collection of my own records, which I collected over the years. But I kind of swung towards live shows because I thought the prices were too high. If I could see 3 or 4, 5 or 6 bands for the price of one record, then what's the purpose of me buying these records? Because going out and seeing bands live was also a social activity. I always went there with somebody. Either if I went by myself, I would meet somebody there, and we talk about different groups. It was a fantastic way to which people socialized. It's very different today. I mean, you still get people talking about bands, but it doesn't have the same aura of uniqueness, because every big event in there was people really prepare for, like a big show, like two big gigs that, let's say, certain bands will be playing in a year, were events that people really look forward to the whole year, and they prepare for that. Today it's the abundance of choice. It's very many artists popping up, and it's just a complete oversaturated market with all kinds of ideas, tastes, sounds, and various things on offer. And the reason as to why people make music today is significantly different when compared to the way they were doing it in those days. You will find that a musician like Dua Lipa or Katy Perry or Lady Gaga, or I don't know, any of the bands, the Killers, the Coldplay, well, maybe not good comparison to the Killers and Coldplay, they belong to the transitional generation of bands, but I was just thinking of some of the most recent. They really are a full package. They're like an investment, like an asset of a group of investors, and they look at every single detail, from what kinds of clothing they wear to what type of deo they use, what type of shampoo they use for their hairs, toothpaste. So it's just all connected with kind of a multi-level marketing of various products, and then being the carrier of a brand which is called Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, you name it. And they're fantastic musicians. They have wonderful voices, and they produce remarkable performances. But the inner side of things, as to why somebody got involved and what music they perform, is significantly different. And I think this is reflected on the overall interest, and certainly the behavior of some of the younger fans and people who belong to that generation display that quite prominently. Well, so coming back to video gaming, it's the similar sort of thing, because even 15-20 years ago we had to be buying our physical copies, and today there's no need for that. First of all, we can easily purchase online. All the time you're getting fantastic discounts through Microsoft and PlayStation and other stores like, for instance, Steam and Epic if you're a PC gamer. And there's never shortage of new titles on special offers. So I mean, I purchased loads of games over the last 5 to 7 years, and certainly my the number of games in my collection have massively increased since the introduction of the streaming services, because for me it's very important for me to see first of all what the game is going to be like, whether it's going to grab me, and whether I'll find the story of interest, or the gameplay, or anything else. And some games will require a bit more time and effort, like Stellaris, for instance. You could be, or No Man's Sky, you could be put off by certain things right at the beginning, but if the game's on streaming services, you keep coming back to it, you play bit by bit, day after day, and once you get used to it, you kind of get fully grabbed. So that's a huge advantage. And then as you have the games offered through streaming services, you get them also on discounted prices in order to keep. And I think these are just fantastic offers. And also don't forget, the overall industry changed. Many people who are involved today, these are people in their mid to late 40s, early 50s, people who played games really for 20-25 years, or even longer than that, and who were like kind of true to the core. They really are true, passionate gamers who just sort of find a place in the sun by working in the industry and progressing forward as executives or developers, and therefore their passion, knowledge, and dedication to gaming has been also brought in. And the recent live events that we've seen with Bethesda and Microsoft, I think, are spearheading this effort, because every one of the guys in there is a dedicated true gamer. And when you talk about games and the video game production, they talk from heart. They talk about the experiences and all they would have had over the years. And you know, it's just really truly inspirational. I mean, I really love it. It's just really up my alley, because everything I did in my life was based on my own passion for a particular activity, venture, projects, and I can't imagine running my life and doing anything which would be outside of that equation. It just wouldn't be me, you know. So coming back to the world of video gaming and this weekend. So as I said, you have the choice of these freebies: Civilization, Need for Speed, and Tekken on Xbox free play days, and the biggest game of all offered for free, which is irrespective of the platform. You can access it everywhere, anyway, wherever you are, is War Dogs Legion, starting from I think 4 o'clock PM UK time, 5 o'clock Central European, if I'm not mistaken. Just have a look and I'll read the information to you, which was given to me by the publisher, and that is of course, oh, that information is gone now for some reason, just bear with me. There we are. We have it from Ubisoft. So that is, where is it now? Well, for whatever reason, the information is gone. Now we need to look at another lot which I left there for myself, and I've got it, of course. And we said this weekend from March 25th to 29th you can enjoy a free trial of Watch Dogs Legion single player campaign and its online mode. Players on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Epic Games Store, Ubisoft Connect can check out all the open world activities, such as playing darts at the local pub and participating in bare knuckle fights, as well as explore 4 of the 8 boroughs, including the City of London and Lambeth. Additionally, you will be able to discover the game's storyline up to the Sky Larson mission. You will be able to pre-download the free trial of Watch Dogs and Watch Dogs Legion on Wednesday, March the 24th, so that's very long gone, from 4 o'clock PM UTC, 12 PM EDT, 9 AM PDT, 5 PM Central European Time for PlayStation 4 and 5, and then March 24th at 5 PM UTC, 1 PM EDT, 10 AM PDT, and 6 PM Central European Time on Epic Games Store and Ubisoft Connect. Preload will not be available on Xbox One or Xbox Series X and S, and players on these platforms will be able to download the game when the free trial weekend starts. Well, I'm surprised because I was able to download it. I've got the game fully installed, I believe. I was able to run it. Just told me that it's not as yet accessible to the servers because we're still waiting for the free weekend. So it says to participate in a free trial weekend, an online connection will be required for both the single player campaign as well as for the online mode. Players on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 will require PlayStation Plus and Xbox One, as well as Xbox Series X and S will require Xbox Live to access the Watch Dogs Legion online mode. So the closing times, right? So the free trial weekend will start on Thursday, March 25th, and let's have a look at the European time. That is 3 PM Central European Time. Hang on, the free trial weekend will start on Thursday, March 25th, so that's today, right? And for all participant platforms, will run until Monday, March 29th at 2 PM UTC. Okay, 3 PM Central European Time. So it will start at 3 PM Central European, 2 PM. So that means it's already up and running. I tried it just before I went live on air. It didn't work. But anyway, we'll have a look at it a bit later. And I'm certainly hoping that once I finish my podcast, I'll be able to crack on with Watch Dogs Legion from the word go. We'll have it for the rest of the weekend. We'll play for 4 days and hammer it as much as possible because it's a wonderful game, and I want to take both the advantage of this opportunity and get as knowledgeable as possible, share it with my community, bring in maybe some new members, and enjoy the overall activity that Ubisoft had given us. So, progression between free trial weekend and the full game will carry over when you purchase a full version of Watch Dogs Legion on the same platform. On and mod progression will carry over on all platforms. So really, quite frankly, well, they say here, play as anyone, right? So they tell you, hang on a minute, that's ridiculous. They said, play as anyone, and we mean anyone. We've never before seen gameplay innovation. You can play as literally anyone on the streets of London. Each character comes with a unique personality, a specific backstory, and a special skill set. Build your resistance so that it's diverse enough to tackle any challenge. I'm very, very curious about this, and that's the main reason. Well, that's what grabbed me, because I watched their developer diaries. I watched all that Ubisoft had said, and I watched some of the gameplay, and the developer diaries were telling us this in advance before the game was released, so it was about 6-8 months beforehand. I said, hang on a minute, how is it going to be possible that anyone who you meet in the game can be selected and then brought into a faction? I found that to be really quite extraordinary, and well, I guess we'll have our first-hand experience very shortly, so we all will be there. Right, so that's the news about the games that are accessible this weekend. Once again, it's Watch Dogs Legion, starting from 2 o'clock PM UK time, 3 o'clock PM Central Period Time from today, so it's already there. So if you are on any of the platforms, make sure you download the game and try it. I think it's fundamental that everyone who is a serious gamer is taking up some of these offers, because if, for instance, nobody wants to be downloading any of the freebies, then developers will think, well, this is of no interest to anyone, therefore we're not going to be offering it. And all these services are absolutely dependent on the interest, and you've seen the interest had been exponentially growing and rising. But the fact is, people can be oversaturated at times, and perhaps will decide not to be downloading certain games which appear to be maybe not very interesting. And therefore, from having, let's say, 6 games offered as freebies on a particular weekend, they'll reduce it to maybe 2 or 1. And I don't want to see that. I think it's all about us being able to access the titles and having the choice, and therefore being able to enjoy the experiences. And also at the same time, if we do so, if we download these games, we're supporting the developer and supporting the publisher. So remember that. Very, very important. Okay. So, since yesterday, I had several messages coming in from our community members in response to our debate on streaming live online, and Kat was here. I do apologize, I had a hot drink. Maybe it's to do with the vaccine that my voice is a bit affected, I don't know. I felt that during the last couple of days, and I'm really sorry, really apologetic. Right, so what was I going to say is we had Kat here yesterday. We had messages from Sam and from Bob. All of them actually, all of our community members are based in the US, and they all asked certain questions about streaming and online interactivity. So, today we received, well, we debated that yesterday, but we received some specific questions from several other members of our community, and I'm glad to see that people who are emailing me, well, I'm not really instantly recognizing the names, and it tells me that lots of people are watching the podcast on various platforms, so maybe playback, and they're not necessarily subscribers or followers, so that's really very interesting. I know that lots of people do not like receiving many notifications. I'm one of those, and my Twitter is extremely busy. I have loads of postings every single day, and people who have a small community or a personal Twitter account, they do not really appreciate being inundated, snowed under with hundreds and hundreds of different messages coming in, and therefore they will not necessarily follow somebody's profile. They'll pop in and have a look, and they will read certain news which are of interest to them. So that's, I think, what's happening. So great, I'm very happy. And the first question came from Robin, and Robin is in Houston, and he said, I have been watching your streams for quite some time, and thank you for those wonderful Destiny moments. I really enjoy Destiny 1, and I love your community. You're very family friendly, you're all well connected, and we always had a lot of fun as we watched some of your activities online. I want to be a streamer, Robin says, and I've been considering how to do it, and not quite clear on what direction to take. What would you, as an experienced veteran streamer, recommend to somebody who's a complete newbie? And he says, I'm not really amongst the most youthful. I'm more of a mature gamer, and I kind of realized that you are also the same. So I'm really wondering whether you have some tips in order to kind of how to build a community and how for myself to attract some of my new followers without really appearing to be too old, nor overly kind of potentially pretentiously youthful. Sorry, it was a lengthy message in here, so I didn't really manage to get through it as I wanted. So several questions there coming from Robin, and thank you, Robin. He's in Houston, Texas, and I'm very glad to see that people in Texas are watching the stream, because I have quite a number of our regular Destiny participants and veterans who are indeed from Texas, various parts of Texas, I think, and it's just really great to see. Dallas actually is another place where we have several members. Right, so coming back to your stream, well, I mean, first of all, becoming a streamer is, well, on one hand, it appears to be like something which is very, very easy. On the other hand, it is an activity that requires a lot of planning, a lot of dedication, and a lot of thought. So, first of all, most importantly, you'll need to decide what platform you need to be, or you want to be streaming on, right? The vast majority of very successful Twitch streamers, they're always using the PC for various software that is providing them with skins, with a particular type of online layout and animations and various other, kind of ins and outs to which people could interact. That's not available on console streaming, particularly if you're streaming directly through a console. So considering the very best, I'd say you need to really have a good PC, but that doesn't mean a gaming rig which costs you $20,000, but I'm thinking of a very, very fast processor. So the processor needs to be the latest, the best possible. The reason for that is simple. New games like Watch Dogs Legion, Valhalla, the big ones, they are very, very taxing on processing power, and they're also taxing on internet speed. So you've got to have the fastest possible processing power that there is in order to maintain high quality, to prevent lag and everything else, right? So if you, for instance, want to be streaming off your console, and that will be your Xbox or PlayStation, I would also recommend for them to be connected to a PC. And if you connect it to your PC, you will get the best of both worlds, right? You'll have all the games and libraries which are on your console, and you will be able to connect to OBS or any other software that you'll be using for your streams, and therefore you'll get animations and all of that wonderful interactivity. Because when you switch on successful, well-watched YouTube channels, Twitch channels, you will see that everyone has something that is very interactive up and running on the screen, and that's very popular, it's very attractive, and it's very understandable, because the benefits of being a viewer or participating on the people's streams is all about being able to connect with others live. I mean, due to the difference in time zone, I have lots of people from the US watching my streams and podcasts on playback, because 9 hours back, etc., is just sort of clashing with the daily work routine and everything else. But the benefit, the drive, for wanting to be somewhere live online, and specifically being connected with a broadcaster, is to that live interaction. So it's chatting, sending in animations, bits and cheers, and all other kinds of things which you can pick up, and then supporting a streamer or supporting other participants, and it's a kind of 2-3 way communication which is clearly built. So the long story short, you need a PC, you need software that needs to be installed in there. If you want to do it off your PC, that's good enough, and then if you want to do it also through your PlayStation or Xbox, they need to be plugged in, and they need to be fully customized for the use. Basically the stream needs to be customized through the use of PC and OBS and any other software that you have there. So once you've done that, the other most important thing, it's absolutely critical, is the internet speed, right? So for instance, my channel is a good example of how not to do it, because I do not have access to fast internet, to fiber in our local area. Nobody in my local area, although we are living in one of the wealthiest towns in England, we do not have fiber. England has terrible infrastructure for internet. It's probably one of the worst in Europe, and it's sad, it's to a degree unbelievable, but you know, our internet speeds are reasonable when it comes to the use of the web browsers and downloading some information. But for anything which is next gen, and that is streaming live online, we are literally in the Stone Age. And what you do not want to do is to be nesting, let's say, $10,000–$15,000 in very, very expensive equipment, and then discover that where you live you cannot have fiber or very fast internet speeds. You need to check out the speeds first before you do anything. So in fact, the first port of call is calling your ISP or the local operators or the owners of your local ISP network, and you need to find out what sort of speeds you can get. Right. So for live online streaming of Twitch and YouTube, the minimum required is 5 megabits upload, right, per second. But I think if you are doing the games like Destiny or Watch Dogs or Cyberpunk, the latest ones, it's probably advised to be looking at 10 to 15 plus, right? So in order to get, you know, the best possible image, no lag. It will be different if you're incorporating your own video camera. So you have your cam on together with the game. Well, that will be taxing on the overall bandwidth. So you need to be kind of testing this somewhat before you really do your proper streams. But I think if you're looking at the best fiber, anything which is higher than 50 upload will be sufficient for anything that you want to do at present, right? So it's several things to consider, right? So it's first of all the fastest processing power on your PC. Secondly, or most importantly, the fastest possible internet connection. And then thirdly, everything needs to be connected. Your consoles need to be plugged in into your computer, and you know, OBS software or any other needs to be fully installed in order to stream. You need to do some tests. You need to probably do a selection of tests to make sure that everything works perfectly, right? So on the tech side of things, two other things which are important if you want to be seen as a professional broadcaster are your microphone and also your camera. So watching videos of people in sort of, you know, poorly lit rooms with fuzzy images of broadcasters is not really a good idea. It's best not having any camera at all. So after you buy a high quality camera, you will need to consider the living area, which is going to be basically broadcast live online, and you would have seen with all the everyday top-notch streamers, they always have their streaming room organized as if it was their office. It's neat, it's full of various types of items that are representing the games they're streaming, and everything is like done up in a way as it should be. So that's yet another investment and yet another thing to seriously consider. And then your microphone is fundamentally important, because you can buy proprietary headsets that belong to Sony, PlayStation or Xbox, or indeed you can buy very expensive headsets for a PC, and you'll find that the vast majority of streamers will resort to a standalone mic that will have its own setup, and that is in order to make sure well, first of all, to get the noise levels right, because the various mics could be picking up, you know, various kind of noises and things which are happening in your own environment, and then you have a lot more control. So that standalone mic, that will come together with its own sort of small mixing desk, and that will be very, very important in terms of your audio quality. Don't forget, audio quality is probably the most important thing of all. The broadcast has got to be audible, easily heard, and you know, the sound quality needs to be as good as possible, together with obviously the quality of the video. But the video is dependent on the internet speed, whilst the audio may not be as much, and therefore you need to really seriously consider what type of mic you want to be using, as well as your cam. So that's the technical side of things, right? I'll go back to the list yet again. We'll just go through it very quickly. Number one, you need to double check what the internet speeds you can be getting in local area before doing anything, right? Before even considering doing any streams, you need to see what internet you have in your local area, whether it's fast enough for streaming to be done. Secondly, you need to have the fastest processing power. be it on your consoles or indeed on your PC. If you'll be streaming through your consoles, I mean, if you stream off your consoles through your PC, they need to be all connected. You need to get high quality camera and high quality microphone. You can do it with headsets, which is what I do. I don't have a standalone mic, and it's been, very good for me. But the quality of my audio is reasonable. But I come across, when I listen to myself, as as like a different person. It's not really a kind of voice that you hear if you talk to me on a phone, or if you see me in real in life. And that is something that everybody needs to consider, whether you want your voice to be exactly the same. And it's just sort of a bit of a I guess technical adjustment, polishing up that is required. And I'm just very happy that everyone can always hear me, and I come across as very audible. There've never been any problems with me not being heard, and therefore my channel, which is run as a radio channel, is certainly has been very, very well received. So it's Robin who asked this, so I'm responding to Robin from Houston, Texas. Various questions about how to stream and what to do live online in order to be successful. So once you resolve everything on the tech side of things, right? You got your tech sorted, you got everything connected, you tested it. You can do it maybe a couple of times with your family members or friends, just to make sure that the tests are all in order, everything is recording properly, everything is as it should be, the picture's great. You come across as top-notch presenter. You're just like Jeff and Larry from Xbox. You're happy. And now's the time to get pen and paper and start planning for the channel, right? Because once you resolve the tech, the real work starts. Without the tech, you can't do any of it. So just remember, if you don't have all of those components together, nothing is going to work. And don't try to do it on cheap, because that will just defy the purpose from the start, and you won't come across as really professional and engaging, and somebody who spent time really doing something about the channel. And that's really key to success, because I can assure you, from my contacts and my experience of some of the guys working for Twitch, they'll tell you we have an unbelievably large number of participants. It's a tiny, 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 tiny proportion of those who are actually successful. And by successful, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're earning a lot of revenue, like a huge amount of money. They're successful to the way they built a community, which is present with them on their channel every single day. I think this is where the success is, and I'll look at that in depth as we carry on today. So I'll give you some tips and some ideas on what I've done and what I've seen, obviously with other streamers as well. So the first question is, we hear this word, this word community, online gaming community, and I guess we need to first of all ask a question: what is an online gaming community? What's the difference between, let's say, a group of gamers doing Warzone, Apex of the console, having their own clan, having their own crew of about 4, 8, 12, 14, 16 people, compared to a community attached to a Twitch channel? What's the difference? Well, the difference is tremendous. First of all, anyone who's doing it privately is a small, close quarters type of community. They know each other, they talk to each other every single day, they probably sometimes talk either online or through Discord or the phone or WhatsApp, you name it. They do not really have a huge amount of contact with random participants worldwide who are watching, communicating, connecting, and providing commentary on what's happening. So they're not really in a live broadcasting forum which is available to anyone who has a phone or any other device on which that platform can be watched. So they're really like a private community, like a small community. Think of a community of worshippers or people who go to Quakers meetings. They all know each other, they'll talk and they'll be connected, but it's just for them, for a small group, right? But then think of a public gathering where you have somebody doing a lecture, which is also to do, let's say, with religion or worshipping, and they will attract 50, 70,000 people who come there to listen to them, to talk to them, to socialize, to connect. Well, that's something else. This is a community where many randomly selected people will pop in because they have shared interest, and they will be then connecting amongst each other, making new bonds and friendships. And that will be the premise of any future gatherings, any future activities. Well, it's similar, because when you start streaming a game, Let's say Destiny. First of all, you would have chosen a game that's well known for its very strong, powerful, vibrant, community-based content. This is a game that was launched without any guides, and the idea was everything about the game you would need to learn from either your own gameplay or from the activity you've had with others. So it was quite a revolutionary approach. I remember when it came out, and it was the first game of that type where everyone was learning from each other. So it's no surprise, because Bungie, previously prior to Destiny, worked on Halo series, and they built an enormously strong community there, the biggest community of that era, that was based, connected, and developed through online activity within Halo series. And people were learning from each other of various types of tips and tricks as they were doing the battles online. So it was just literally raising the bar somewhat and delivering the next game, which was Destiny, a bit like Halo but more advanced, through non-linear storytelling, non-linear campaigns. And that's similar to Fallout, you could say, which introduced that for the first time, and providing you also with a multitude of activities that are also developing in an open world. So this open world will have loads of different things to do for you to do, and you will have to learn about these things from your community members and participants. And that game, really, Destiny 1 in particular, has been, I'd say, a bit like a glue for many people who were then bonding through Twitch and YouTube streams, because guess what? They were simply able to find new friends, squad mates and participants through other people's streams, and they also could then request to come in, and they would want to become a part of a three-man team that's doing a strike or doing a raid, or they would want to come in and work on a pinnacle weapon together with others. Sometimes they would work together with the streamer, and then other community participants would be just simply watching and tipping them off on what to do next. And that became a multifaceted community activity which was very popular and to a degree unprecedented compared to anything else. So certainly in its heyday, Destiny 1 had an enormous community of followers on Twitch and regular viewers, and I joined that community a bit late. I wasn't there right from the start, but I was a streamer who was doing Destiny every single day, and that was usually on average of 5 hours, and therefore anyone around the world who was looking for a channel that's dedicated to Destiny would discover it was my channel. It was always popping up as the first one on the list through obviously the Destiny channel on Twitch, and this is how I was able to attract a lot of community members from the word go. So first of all, you need to choose the game. So we are talking obviously, I think Destiny, speaking from a personal experience, is also a very, very good example. Let's say you've chosen Destiny, right? And you will need to then, first of all, build separate social networks, right? So you will need to have your Reddit, your Discord, most importantly Twitter and Facebook accounts. These ones need to be connected to your Twitter, to your Twitch, and you will need to have high quality content displayed on each one of them, which is non-repetitive. So you will see sometimes they try to sell you software that's going to be posting everything automated through all platforms. Never ever try to use one of these. This is literally killing your channel even before you made it alive. It's just simply before it lived. You need to make sure everything is done manually, and it is being given in measured proportions, as well as with the content that's interesting. So for instance, on Facebook, you can provide lengthy descriptions on certain games, like a small encyclopedia, what's happened to a game, who was involved in its creation, what the story is, etc., etc. So it's a bit of a lengthy description. Twitter needs to be a bit like your SMS. Snappy, short messages reflecting what your community is doing, what your participants are telling you. Maybe you want to introduce some news coming from the industry, like myself, and combine all sorts of interesting snippets that keep coming in. That will be short, crisp and interesting. Reddit is a forum for in the know. So you have lots of people in the industry and serious gamers going to dedicated threads on games like Fallout and Destiny and Mass Effect, and they'll write in-depth, like lengthy messages, analyzing what's happening in the game, and providing you with an essay on what they liked, what they disliked. So that's the forum where you'll engage with lengthier comments and views that need to be very similar. So you will bring in to your community some very serious gamers, people who work in industry, some dedicated professionals, and also some veterans of various games. And so, each forum will be dedicated to another way of communicating. Like Instagram needs to be very visual because people like watching clips and screenshots. So you can have Instagram just for screenshots, for nothing else. You can have repetitive messages, text messages in there, like introducing your stream or a particular game, but the images must never be repetitive. They always have got to be new. So never ever have two of the same on Instagram, because no one's going to look at your account otherwise. So once you've got all of those built, they need to be connected to your Twitch, right? The second thing, which is important, is you need to consider when you can be streaming, right? And then when you decide on when you can be streaming, you will need to create a schedule. So the schedule will say from 2 o'clock p.m. to 5 o'clock p.m., 6 o'clock p.m. You'll find that the majority of successful streamers stream between 4 and 5 hours a day, right? And 5 hours is seen as the industry standard of today. They can break up the streams with various games, but it's the time they spend online which is what counts. And even if you are on Twitch diagnostic tools, you will see that even if you were breaking up your stream for short breaks of 15-20 minutes, they still will count as one lengthy stream. So what I do here, since I started breaking up my stream into separate sections, I keep getting one diagnostic report that has everything in it that's been streamed in the course of one afternoon. And don't feel that you are obliged to be doing it continuously. You've got to take breaks, and it's very important that you do for your health and for your resilience, and for you to be able to do it in the zone. But it is very important that you consider when the sketch is going to be and how that is going to be reflecting on your abilities. So don't think if you work during the day, squeezing it out to 10 o'clock at night is a good idea. It is not, right? You'll be too tired, be overwhelmed, people pick up on the tiredness through the way you use your voice, the way you talk, the attention span and everything else. That will not be popular. Sadly, people who are watching streams are very, very intolerant, and generally you'll find them to be having a very short attention span. I'm not talking about dedicated community members and veterans and great gamers. I'm talking just about people popping in, like what we call in the biz passing traffic, right? So people come in, have a look, stay there for a couple of minutes, and they leave. Those people will want to have something within the channel that grabs them straight away. They'll have there needs to be a trademark, there needs to be a signature of that broadcaster that will be instantly visible and noticeable. And that needs to work both ways. Like, if you look at my channel, I come across as a mature streamer, a person who does everything scientifically about video gaming. It's like a concept. Everything I deliver in here is within a structure. So this is not a channel for youthful apex gamers who want to be ranting about, I don't know, some musician or somebody who's just popped up, some trend, talk about girls, and that's just not something I'm offering, and that will not be present here on my channel at any time. And you need to consider this, because somebody popping in will be also listening to the language that is being used. If he finds he wants to be in a channel where there's a lot of swearing, a lot of kind of youthful activities, and he wants to kind of talk about trendy youthful things, he'll come across a channel like mine and see, well, absolutely devoid of any of this at any stage. So he will pop in, stay there 5 minutes, disappear, never come back. So what I'm trying to say is the profile of the channel is very, very important, because people who are interested, even if they popped in for 5 minutes, they will remember, and they'll come in again on another day, in a week, in a couple of weeks, and you will have them as your regular members eventually. Very rarely do people follow your channel straight away. It's just if they stumble on a channel and you talk about something really exciting that they really want to know, they'll follow you. Otherwise, you'll have regular visitors for some time before they start following your channel. So do not get disappointed when you see people providing you with some thoughts and views, and then you realize that they're not following you. Nobody should ever be pushed into, you need to follow me, and please do follow me, and therefore I'll follow you. That sort of nonsense. That's just not the way the whole thing works. If you want to listen to somebody who comes across as interesting, you will be there because you're sharing that interest. And that's exactly the same across the board. Doesn't matter whether you talk about shops or broadcasting on TV or Twitch channels or anything else. You will be there because you want to be there, and it will be of your own personal volition. You will make that choice, and you will do that in your own time. So coming back to it, so the structure of the daily broadcast is very, very important. Needs to be certainly during the first 6 months regular, which means you need to publish your schedule on your Twitch channel, but it's information page, right? You need to write there, me, Joe Blogs, I'm going to be streaming Destiny every day from, let's say, 6 o'clock p.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. I'll stream Destiny 2, that's what's going to be happening, and I welcome everyone coming in order to be a member of our community, etc., etc. And then you provide a schedule, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc., exactly when you are there. You can say Monday to Friday, 6 to 10, Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 4, like during the day. So people know that on a weekend you're streaming, obviously, at a different part of the day, and during the week you'll be presenting something between 8 and 10, or 6 and 10. The structure and the concept of your broadcast is very, very important. You have got to have it done like that, because the regularity of your broadcast, the regularity of your schedule will draw people in. So if somebody knows that they're in America, they can't watch you at that time, they may or may not watch you through playback. But if they see that you're attracting a lot of interesting viewers, if they see that you are also in possession of a good community, they will come back. And most importantly, what happened to me was many people would come in eventually because they saw DRBMiller channel always popping up as the first one on Destiny channel on Twitch. And you know, they said, oh man, if that guy's always there, number one, there must be a reason for that. And then they would pop in, talk, connect. It wasn't immediate. And when I discussed it with my community members, they said, oh, we watched you already for months, but you know, we never really followed you. So you have to allow time. So in addition to schedule and obviously the choice of your game, the thing you really need to work on is how you come across, right? And for anyone who has not been in professional broadcasting or being a public speaker, this will be you know, a bit of a task. And people discover very quickly whether they have it in them or not. You will have streamers who are actually non-streamers, but they're actually gamers, and they will do a game. They'll just play a game, and they'll forget about comments and communication. Just focus on the game and talk to those people who are in the game with them. That's never going to work. That's just not interesting. Obviously, if you are a phenomenally successful esports player, playing the global tournaments and doing everything else, people just bear it because they know you are top-notch players. So they just watch you for who you are. But when you're starting from the ground up, where you're like really completely new to the whole thing, you need to consider your community first, which means chatting, communicating, and connecting is much more important than the game itself, right? Because you are building a social network on a channel through what you do, and you therefore are going to be able to, provide that platform for others. So you become Destiny's Facebook or Destiny's Twitter, with the guys who come to you. And if, for instance, they find that the content is of interest, and they find not just talking to you, but talking to other guys in there who are members of your community, chatting, like typing on text chat, or indeed you bringing them in to be like through your party on Xbox or PlayStation, or any other platform, in fact. You just bring them in to talk live on air. They will be then attracted by the overall content. They like the idea that you are constantly connected with new participants. They like the idea that you're talking about interesting things and that you're coordinating the effort. So that's critical. That's the most important thing, in addition to what game you've chosen and the regularity of the schedule. You have got to be as attentive as possible, as interactive as possible. And you need to reflect that live on air and also through the other hubs like Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, and all the other, Instagram. You need to capture some of your activity with screenshots or clips when you are together with some of the guys and share it on those platforms. Send these screenshots to your community members as well. Tag them. Make sure that the tags are, as the postings are being given to the platforms. That's the way to build a community. And that's all in a nutshell, All else will be done to you. Your bubble skills, the way you are going to be developing your overall personality live online. And I think for myself, what I found generally with other people who I watch and people who I connect with, if one is absolutely 1% true to the core, it's much easier to attract everyone, because people will experience you exactly how you are, you know. And it's interesting, in some of our communities, people who have never seen me in real life, they don't know what I look like, they have a very good perception of me as a person, the way I conducted our online discussions as well as our in-game activity, and that itself is very, very important if you are a streamer, if you want to be a streamer who is successful in the long run. Why does somebody watch Letterman or previously Larry King? It's their personality, it's the way they were, you know, it's the signature of what they did. Even if they had the most boring, the most obscene types of guests that nobody ever would want to listen to, it was all down to the personality and the way they approached both the participants and the overall activity that brought all the glory. And those regular viewers would be there for David Letterman, for Larry King. You know, they really wanted to see them, the way they interviewed. And you know, it's the same for anyone else who became very popular. Obviously, if you are a streamer on Twitch, you can have exactly the same approach. You can build a community according to the best quality that you have, and the best quality content that will come from your participants. And just remember, a lot of people think it's all about your own creation. Like, you need to write up, you need to produce that your name's going to be recognized. It's not quite like that. It's not like writing an article. You are here in order to connect with others. It's all about interactivity, interconnectivity. You know, you listen to Phil Spencer, the Xbox boss, and he will tell you, video gaming of today is all about connection and interaction, and this is all that we're interested in. And that's what you need to do. So let me just think. In addition to this, you need to be also considering how to design those, you know, those hubs like Instagram and Twitch, and you want to have a logo which is instantly recognizable, so people look at it, will see exactly that is you. Doesn't matter what they look at on the net, they put your name in the Google, you get everything with the same avatar. So you're building a brand, you're building a very good kind of a visual part of your own channel, your live broadcast, something that's instantly recognizable and people can identify with. Or even later, if it's original, if you create it, you can also be selling it. You know, it can be like your own merchandise. People can have it as you can make your own bits and chairs and icons that anyone else could be purchasing and then using if you know, participating in other people's streams, which means automatically being able to get recognized will give you greater number of participants, because they will see it on other streamers broadcasts and they will recognize it's actually yourself. So it doesn't happen straight away. You know, it takes a while, but it's a bit like multi-level marketing. You need to do all the hard work for a long while, and then once it falls into place, you actually reap rewards. But it does take a long while. Let me think. So in addition to this, the most important thing, just to really summarize it, to sort of to really I guess highlight one of the other very, very important parts of anyone who is a streamer, is establishing your channel rules. So you will need to first of all decide whether you want to be streaming for all generations, i.e. family friendly, or whether you want to be just for mature audiences. What that means is you will subscribe to the rules that Twitch is giving you, and then you need to take a decision on how you want to come across. You said, Robin, you were a mature gamer. Therefore, you may want to be dealing and connecting with people who are 18 plus, and you need to really look at the rules which concern anyone who's younger than 18, because they're extremely strict. And as you're in the US, you will know that all of these come under federal jurisdiction. So you need to be very, very careful who you're allowed to be live online, and your rules will need to be written. So you need to establish your own channel rules, and those will need to be stated on the chat. So anyone who enters your chat, when they click on it, they will get the rules. Which means if they want to participate, this is their contract, this is their terms and conditions between them as Joe Blogs, the randomly selected participant coming from anywhere around the world, and yourself as a Twitch streamer. Because don't forget, you're independent, but you also represent the company. right? So as you're representing a company, think of McDonald's, think of all the other big companies. It doesn't matter whether you belong to McDonald's, but you need to be executing the rules and the principles that the company upholds. I have moderators that look at my channel and they help me with moderation of the content. They've been very useful at all times when tackling unfriendly community members or people who popped in randomly and caused some sort of trouble or came across as unpleasant. And you need to have the stringent rules on how you are going to apply the penalty if certain things are continuously in the breach of your rules. That is down to yourself, and it's down to yourself to decide on what types of rules you will have and what you'll see as acceptable and viewable for many of those participants. And so the rules need to be stated, they need to be absolutely aligned to the Twitch rules, but don't just copy and paste. Think of what you want to have as the rules on your channel in terms of what you wish to achieve. And anyone who comes to your channel will need to basically subscribe to it, adhere to it, full stop. And then if they are not respecting the rules, then they'll receive a lifelong ban. And generally the best way of doing that is simply by using moderators to tackle it, and then secondly by informing Twitch on anyone who is causing trouble, because Twitch is very, very robust when it comes to that action needing to be taken. And if there's evidence, which is through the streams or through chats, which is reported, they will take action immediately. So this is just a safety precaution, but I think together with your schedule, your rules are fundamental to anything which is on your channel. They need to be instantly visible, and people need to know. People sometimes write that, like in my instance in here, the channel is family friendly, it is for the learners, it's all inclusive, and we are also looking at people with disabilities and people who suffer from some health issue. So therefore there is a much stronger degree of intolerance present on my channel towards anyone who is coming in and swearing and wants to do sort of silly things, because we are running a forum which is quite specific. It's like a niche, and therefore such people are absolutely not wanted. They are not to be coming anywhere near my channel. A couple of issues recently with a few people who joined us on the pretext of wanted to be a member of a community which is like this, but actually they were pursuing a different agenda, being competitive gamers, and people kind of do esports and various other things, speedruns, and it's clearly stated really that this is against the channel rules. We do not support that sort of activity, because speed runs and these kinds of erratic drives to be winning every single match, they radiate aggression, and aggression rubs off on other participants. And if you have a number of people who are emotionally vulnerable or withdrawn or sensitive or overly sensitive, then that sort of behavior will affect them, and it could have very negative consequences even if they don't tell you. They'll feel threatened, they will feel under pressure, they will feel that this is toxic and therefore it's spreading like a disease, and therefore one always needs to take action as early as possible. Right, so let me think whether there's anything else, but that's really the basics. To summarize very briefly, first of all, check out what internet speeds you're getting in your area. They need to be fiber and very, very fast speeds, 20 megabits upload plus. Secondly, the tech, high quality PC with the latest processor. Xbox and PlayStation need to be plugged in order to have nice animations and proper layout when streaming. Thirdly, it's the structure of the channel. You need to have the rules set up, you need to have your schedule clearly stated everywhere, and you need to be delivering regular broadcasts. On the tech side of things, in addition to the equipment that I described, you will need a standalone mic and also a high quality webcam if you want to be seen. Your vicinity where you're going to be broadcasting from needs to be adapted to that, so it needs to be like a proper office setup, so it comes across as very professional. Thirdly, you'll have then also the system through which your content is going to be moderated. If you bring in external moderators, the rules need to be respected at all times, and then it's all down to you and the content, the game you're going to be broadcasting, as well as what people you bring into your community, how you'll interact online, and how you will be bonding with the newbies. I think one of the areas which some people find difficult is connecting with so many random gamers. Usually they would like to start out the channel with a couple of friends and to feel more comfortable. Well, as you carry on, you'll build skills and you'll get to know how to communicate to unknown people. And I think for anyone who lives in a big city like myself, we have a lot of experience. I must say I had a lot of additional experience through my professional services, where I dealt with goodness knows how many thousands of people over the years. But it is something that one needs to pay attention to. It does take a bit of time to feel kind of confident and comfortable. And then let me just think. The usual question that pops in, you didn't ask it really. You're asking, what will it take for myself to become a successful streamer? So we talked about all of those basics, but the most important thing in there is how you are going to be coming across, right? Will you come across as a very polite, civilized, educated, in-the-know type of person who's always prepared to be attentive to anyone who's in the need, always answer questions and respond to chat messages, all the messages coming through your emails, always respond to them, and being very, very closely bonded and connected to the participants? Or whether you want to be something else, because that is what people take away with them. And you will find sometimes that on my channel I've received a lot of praise because many participants, particularly the random ones, experience what we do here on a highly professional level. So it's this is a bit like watching or listening to radio. It's just all kind of polished and it sounds really fantastic. And it's something I professed and built over a longer period of time. I have been a public speaker in the past and I had some broadcasting experience, so that really helped. But that's really in a different environment, Doing a lecture at the front of 50 or 100 people who are from the niche field that you're representing is one thing, and being able to engage with randoms in a public forum like this is something completely different. And obviously people of different backgrounds, different nationalities, different races, with different languages, with different gaming preferences, different ages. So all of that is sometimes part and parcel, maybe in some games even featuring more. The competitive shooters like PvP games, they can be heightening those tensions if people are losing or they're not happy. I've just seen today Danus D, she is the pro PUBG broadcaster, and she's partnered with the company and one of the most popular European streamers, and she plays solo because she had some serious issues, like many other streamers, with the randoms, people not adhering to the rules and not doing the thing which they should. And she just posted a video today of somebody who was unbelievably vicious and offensive to her as he got eliminated, because he obviously could hear that, or maybe he knew through her name that she was a girl or something. And it was just, she turned it into a big joke, like it was hilarious how, for instance, somebody was so sensitive that he got killed by a girl. But actually it's not a joke, it's a very serious issue, and some people will come across like this, and they will, in that competitive environment, all the nasty sides of the personality will transpire rather quickly, and they'll be full of aggression, abuse and everything else. And these are the things that every streamer needs to prevent from having on their channel. It's not preventable if you are playing against the randoms, and sometimes due to glitches you can hear the dialogue. We've had that a few times in Warzone. We were in our own party and suddenly our party sound disappears and we can hear some other people talking, and this is a terrible thing. It's absolutely nothing to do with us, but this is a glitch. It's not actually our responsibility. We muted everything and to make sure that this was not recorded. So yeah, coming back to the key recipes for success. First of all, it's professionalism. You need to come across as professional. Regular schedule, clearly state the rules, the manner in which you're presenting to be as professional as possible, your personalized signature on everything that you do, the way you kind of greet people, the way you talk to them. It's something that will be yours and yours alone, so you'll be recognized straight away by a viewer or participant instantly. Then thirdly, it's all about the degree of connectivity with your community and the way you are connecting, because people are very sensitive to sending messages and not interesting responses, and you will have a situation where you'd get let's say you play Warzone Apex, you have games, so slotted into separate matches. Obviously, whilst you do a competitive match, you can't be talking to everyone who's sending you messages on Twitch chat. But once you finish the match, you've got to take time, if necessary 15-20 minutes or longer, to be answering all questions, all comments that were coming in on your chat. People watching will know, and you have to tell them. If you see that messages keep coming in, just keep telling them. I'm in the middle of the match, I'll respond to all your messages as soon as we're finished, and we'll talk. And for very many people, participating in live stream is not about watching the actual game. It's all about connecting with people who are participating. It's just, this is just why Destiny, Warzone, any of these games, Elder Scrolls, Fortnite, they became social networks in themselves, right? So remember, that's very, very important. A lot of people forget about it, or they don't pay enough attention to it, and that's basically one of the reasons for the demise or disappointment, because they'll say, nobody wants to talk to me and nobody wants to come in. Well, obviously, if you're not talking to anyone yourself, you're just busy with your own game, which is the case sometimes for people. They work 8-10 hours a day, they want to go home and just play their own game. But don't do streams then, because streaming is about interactivity, it's about connecting with others who want to be sharing the interests and talking, and obviously you play a game, but at the same time you need to talk, and that's critical. That's just absolutely the key in your medium to long-term success. And then secondly, you've got to allow time. Streaming as presented on short YouTube clips and various kind of twitchy videos, you'll find people say, I've started streaming 3 months ago, I have like 50,000 subscribers. It's utter nonsense. It's multi-level marketing. It's got nothing to do with the real state of things. Obviously, people who are partnered with Twitch or with PUBG or the big developers, they will be given unbelievable support through the various networks that these companies have. Therefore, they'll attract many more viewers and participants than anyone who's starting from the ground up, and that's just the basic logic. You need to accept that some people will have industry support, and therefore they will be prevalent. They will be able to do that for whatever reason, and none of them were just becoming streamers overnight. Lots of them, or quite a few people, played esports professionally, or they were in competitions, or they already built themselves this way, like a writer on video gaming for a well-known hub like Eurogamer or Games Radar. Obviously, people read the articles, they know of the name, and they will come in because the person is already well known to them, one way or the other. They're not just starting from the ground up like yourself. And all has to be really put into perspective. People need to know that it's a lengthy process, and to be fair, it's also down to two major things. Number one is the type of game you're streaming, and number two, the type of broadcaster you are. So if you're streaming the right game at the right time, and you have really high quality broadcasting skills, these two will be merged together, and therefore will have a lot of success with the community being built fairly quickly and the channel becoming quite popular. The other question is variety versus single game streams. Well, I certainly would say single game streams are fundamental within the initial period. So that initial period could be anything between 6 months and 3 years. If you want to build a steady community, you'll need to choose a game that is similar to Destiny. So there are quite a few other at the moment. You have Fallout 76, you have Destiny, you have Red Dead Redemption, you have just the list just goes on, Elder Scrolls Online, for instance, and the games which have this sort of ever evolving open world with lots of activities with people who can be brought in through multiplayer, and other participants also coming in live on air through party chats, and that certainly would be the best way right from the beginning, because you want to have a game that is automatically interactive. I think the game I'm streaming at the moment, Fallout 3, is an example of a game that perhaps is not the best one for somebody who is just starting out. It's a single player game, it has a massive, huge community out there, but it doesn't give you that degree of interactivity or the need for a participant who's coming in through random selection to come in and talk, because they're just watching. You know, they know they can't get in your game to join you, to play together with you. They provide you running commentary. They're really huge, dedicated fans and veterans of the game. But generally, you will find that the overall... just bear with me to see something. I do apologize to our friends. I was just watching, double checking the stream because I want to see whether the stream was indeed broadcasting as it should. We have Savory there saying hello and saying hi. Hello Savory, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us. And thank you for being a valued member of our community. Really appreciate your messages and the fact that you're here with us today. Right, so I was just going back to what we need to do in order to be a successful streamer. And like I said, people who are supported from the inside of the industry, they will be then getting many more supporters and subscribers early. So they should not be confused with everyone else who's kind of doing it on the grassroots level and developing everything from the ground up. So coming back to my suggestion about multiplayers, multiplayers are the best because A, you'll have people who want to learn, right? They want to learn how to play a multiplayer, how to succeed. One lot of people who come into your channel, have a look and be interested. The other lot will come in and they will be wanting to talk to you about how you do it. And they'll ask you questions about your streams as well as your actual gameplay. And then you'll have the third group, people who are your community members who will be coming in every day to join their forces together with you live online. So there's already 3 or 4 different communities building up, interacting, coming in and connecting. So you could see as to why that's important compared to maybe just watching a game like Fallout or linear storytelling game, which is a non-multiplayer, you know, a Plague's Tale, for instance. You will get viewers, you'll get people who are very interested, but the actual type of interaction that you'll be getting is going to be significantly different. And I think considering the current trends and popularity, doing multiplayers and doing the games that are attracting a very large number of people to interact, not just to watch, is critical. I think that's really, really important. You know, Destiny has been around for a long while, and the reason I was able to attract lots of community members in a short while was to do with one simple fact. Not many streamers were doing Destiny 1 anymore after the sequel was released. And Destiny 1 became, even remained, the game which was more popular when compared to the sequel, and many people wanted to be, first of all, watching the streams of the old game, together with, I guess, finding new partners for crime, you know, new people who joined the squads. The random matchmaking was depleted, they reduced the number of rooms for the Crucible and PvP, and therefore they were looking for new squad mates, new community members, new partners for the matches through Twitch channels. And that was an ideal way in. And this is how I met thousands of people, you know, and I learned everything of Destiny through my community. I knew absolutely nothing. I played Halo extensively, I didn't play Destiny, and I knew nothing about Destiny on the day one when I started streaming it. And 6 months later, I knew everything. And I did have several of our US members who would pop in and say, hang on a minute, it's extraordinary, you learned everything in such a short period of time, when in fact you knew nothing about it at the time when you began your streams. And I said, well, that's true. And the reason for that is simple. I learned everything, every single thing from my community members. And thanks to them, I was able to progress rapidly forward, both in the original game and the sequel. I think if you're looking at Destiny, Destiny 1 is still more popular, and everyone will tell you that Destiny 2 is a completely different type of game, but it's something for everyone. It's a game that offers you 10-15 games within one, and that's, you know, significantly different to what we had, particularly with Halo community, where they were all dedicated to one world and one lot of activities there, certainly during the initial trilogy. And if you played the trilogy on the Master Chief Collection, then you'll recognize also the difference with certain enhancements and add-ons and everything else that was given to us. And, you know, people liked going back to the same map and doing the same thing. We're a creature of habits. And that's really what's been very, very popular. That's the reason as to why Destiny 1 is still topping it all. And in the same way as I feel Fallout 3 is the best out of the whole series. It's just just to do with the way they create the game, the way the game works, and the way it affected me at the time, as well as it presented this new concept of non-linear storytelling in a massive big open world. You can do all different kinds of things, and you will still feel very connected to every character, you know exactly what's happening. You will never feel confused. These are masterpieces of video game making. And right, so coming back to the streams, as you are a new person to Twitch and streaming, you need to allow anything between, I'd say, 12 to 36 months in order to build your community. And for instance, if after 36 months you still had 2 or 3 followers and a couple of viewers, you should not be disheartened. You should simply be looking at maybe some injection of energy, maybe some new ideas being introduced, and looking for maybe a niche community of people who would join you. On the other hand, if after 36 months you had a couple of thousand people who are following you, then that will be a tremendous success, and I'm sure that with the regulars you will have a lot of entertainment and a lot of high quality content. Because don't forget, streaming and connecting live online is similar to what you have with regular customers when you go to shops. Regular custom makes that business worthwhile, and you need to really conceptualize that it's all about that regularity. You may have, let's say, 5 to 10 regular members coming into your stream and participating on the regular basis, which means those 5 to 10 customers, i.e. your community members, your gamers, will be providing that high quality content together with you, and that will be attracting other viewers and other people who are watching the stream. So you just multiply, right? Regularity of these customers is very important. Like for instance, I've had about between half dozen and dozen regular participants on my Warzone streams, and they just built the whole section of my channel with their regular contributions, with their very, very humorous content, with great degree of with a great degree of bonding, and that was really very popular. So it was not just left to me to be providing content. All of us became content creators through activities and chit chats and everything else we did live online. So there are different ways through which you can do this, and I think most importantly you will need to map it all out on paper. So I think what I've given you is a very good, very in-depth analysis of what one can be doing if you are wanting to run a channel, and then everything else will be done to you. I just wish you a lot of good luck, a lot of enthusiasm and energy, and most important, like in any other business, do not get dispirited if things turn out sour, or perhaps they come across as long-winded, and you have not many viewers for quite a while. That's just altogether irrelevant. I think there's one thing that I need to stress. It's all going down to that, the game you choose. My personal recommendation would be for a game like, for instance, maybe Fallout 4 or Destiny 1, or I'm trying to think what other games. The games that have been around for a little while, and the games that attracted huge number of customers, huge number of followers and gamers, but at present these guys are not there every single day. They're not playing it all the time, but they'll come in several times a week. They still love the game. These games are the very best because they have a huge community attached, like Halo, for instance, the best possible. And you will be able to build that. If you go for Warzone or PUBG or Apex, these are the hottest games at the moment, and you will have millions of viewers worldwide, and you will have hundreds of thousands of streamers doing the same game. So therefore you're facing huge competition with people who are doing exactly the same, and perhaps people who were there for quite a while already with other games, people who built their networks and communities. So the actual choice is very, very significant. Choosing a game that is very popular but not maybe that frequently played today, but watched on a regular basis and watched with passion and energy and care, is what you need to consider first. There's a lengthy list of such games. Like Mass Effect is one of them, and we'll have Mass Effect Legendary Edition introduced in May. It's only about 6 weeks away now, and it's obvious that with the Legendary Edition being introduced, we'll have a huge comeback of very many people who are doing the trilogy like myself. So quite a few things to consider. So that's really it. That's it in a nutshell for our friend Robin, and I think our podcast today was almost exclusively dedicated to the streaming a business on Twitch and YouTube, and I'm very glad that Robin from Houston was indeed reflecting on what we talked about yesterday, because I think Kat was asking a few things, as well as our friends from NYC, and that today I've just given you an in-depth analysis, step by step, of what you can do if you are wanting to become a streamer, if you want to run your own channel, and you learn as you go along, you know. Also make sure that you're bonded with other streamer communities. But I have to say, you'll read this online. They say the first thing to do is you like hook up with lots of different streamers. Well, you will not have time, because your stream will take up, first of all, 4 to 5 hours of your own time for the stream itself. So when you are actually doing it with others live online. Secondly, you'll need to prepare for it. So it's going to take at least an hour if you're looking at the news, posting on Instagram, Twitter, and everything else. You know, and then it's the regularity. If you want to be streaming 3 times a week, you'll have more time to watch other streamers. But I actually don't have any time to watch other streamers. I watch some of this stuff quickly when I want to be having an overview of what they've been up to, because I have quite a large number of online associates. But if I want to be watching them and communicating live online, that will be difficult, because guess what? Their streaming schedule is clashing with mine. I'm streaming, they're streaming at the same time. But having close bonds with a few who are successful, and particularly people who are perhaps streaming the same sort of game, people on the same frequency, the same age, you know, the same sort of niche community membership, well, that's definitely of tremendous importance, and I would most highly recommend it. You'll find sometimes streamer user groups on Reddit, and they're very, very good. People are really absolutely you know, on the same page with all they discuss there. Reddit is a very good forum, in fact, compared maybe to Twitter and Facebook, where on Reddit you will find fewer individuals writing and ranting about silly things, and that just, you know, it's more of a kind of a niche forum for people who are already either dedicated to a particular game or indeed involved in streaming. So I highly recommend it. And then also build your own communities. You know, you join other communities online, and you play games together with them, and you know, just make it as interesting, as dynamic, as vibrant as it can be, as original, and make sure you're reflecting also on certain trends, you know, what's happening out there in the community. Don't do something which is completely against it. Like, for instance, I hate somebody saying, I hate multiplayer, so I'm never going to do any multiplayer online, I just go for the old style retro. Well, you can if you want, but it will make your job of a streamer a lot harder if you're not reflecting on the overall interest. And you know, creating a niche community of retro gamers will be phenomenally successful and, you know, greatly rewarding. But you were talking about very, very small numbers. You're talking about people who are doing the games as they are today. But, you know, I leave it to personal preferences, because I may well stand corrected. I just, you know, I've got my own model and my own system, which has been modeled and based on my own personal experience of all I had here on Twitch, and I'm constantly reevaluating. I think if you look back 3 years of my streaming on Twitch, every year has been introducing something new. I'm as flexible as possible and always responding to my community members and considering everything that my community members will indeed be advising me on. And you know, the podcast's been created in view of the feedback received from some of our participants, and I think it's been so far very, very successful. So allow it time, really. That's most important. Allow it time. Don't really rush it. Don't push. And I give an example. For instance, there's documentary on Michael Grzesiak, otherwise known as Shroud, one of the most successful streamers and FPS gamers on the planet. And you know, he's a chap who kind of grew up with FPS games, played them previously on his own PC, and after many years he decided to join some esports groups, and then he became what he is today, Shroud, right? But he did say that it was quite a few years. Was it quite a few years? It was you know, it was for a while when he tried to stream on other platforms prior to Twitch, and then I think later on Twitch as well in the beginning, and he would just have no viewers. Nobody watched his channel. Then once he participated in a major esports tournament, it was a different story. And you know, it's very easy to see why. An esports tournament, huge marketing campaigns, massive number of adverts everywhere, publicity all over the globe, and then anyone who's excelling in there is immediately connected through the adverts and everything else, you know. He said in a documentary, you can actually dig it up on YouTube, he said it didn't really bother me at all, because what I really wanted to do was to experiment, because I was new to it. It wasn't new to gaming, it was new to streaming. I want to find out how everything works. It's much better for kind of no traffic to come to my channel than being extremely busy from the word go, because then it'd be more difficult for me to learn what to do, because gaming is one thing and broadcasting is another. So I think these are all the tips I have for Robin, and hope you guys weren't put to sleep, or hopefully you're not bored with everything I described. It's all based on my experience of being on Twitch, and I'd be very curious to hear if you have any other questions, perhaps niche questions about all that's been said. Unpick some of the sentences or recommendations. We can look in depth if it comes to any of it. I'd be very, very grateful. So really want to invite everyone to do exactly the same. So that's really all coming from our community today, all dedicated to our responses from our wannabe streamers and people who are interested in what to do if you were to be running something on Twitch. On a personal note, really, to wrap it all up, I want to say that I've been absolutely and truly delighted with all the experiences I've had. Absolutely no problems of any sort. I mean, there have been some issues from time to time with particular community members or wannabe participants, but that's just absolutely insignificant compared to the overwhelming number of benefits and entertainment we all had. And I think I just had the most incredible level of interactivity with so many previously unknown people to me from around the world, where I feel absolutely and truly globalized. I feel well connected to different parts of the globe. I have very good friends now through my online gaming who are based in places as far as Australia, New Zealand, and India and China, and Taiwan, Singapore, Morocco, Norway, Russia, North Macedonia, Luxembourg. I mean, it's just on and on. Obviously, the US, Canada, South America, Panama, and it's just really quite extraordinary. And the degree of connectivity and high quality content and all together, and having that entertainment and fun together has been a unique kind of once in a lifetime experience. And obviously I as a streamer have been evolving together with my community, so that's been truly rewarding as well, because I did have quite a number of other communities which were both on and offline, but this is something else. It's because it's new and it's highly interactive, where you can bond with people with such ease, and I'm certainly silly hoping that this form of communication and this sort of concept that we had applied will be also imported to other areas of occupation and other disciplines. So we'll have the same sort of thing emerging in literature, science, humanities, and elsewhere, rather than just being connected to what's seen as the pinnacle of the entertainment industry of today. Okay, so I think we've probably come to the end, but before we wrap up, I need to really look at the news, because we did have some news coming in on Xbox Wire, and I really want to tell you a bit about it. So let us just very quickly have a look. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because we really have a concept that's different from day to day. And really, my podcasts have been divided between the community content, i.e. questions and messages coming from our participants, and then sometimes maybe my own online gaming activity, as well as the news. So it's a mixture of everything. We play by ear. Podcast is here for us to talk and to maybe explore all that's happening out there, as well as debate the issues that concern us as we carry on. So we've seen and heard that we have some very interesting new Xbox controllers, and the ones I'm looking at are green and red, and they look a bit like something out of Gears of War. So make a statement with the new Xbox wireless controllers Eclectic Volt and Bassstrike Camo Special Edition. So like two of them. So if you're into that, you can have a look. And let me see, we have one which is called Electric Volt, looking very kind of bright green, inspired by the energy and vibrance often found in athletic apparel and sneaker design. The Xbox Wireless Controller Electric Volt is the newest color in the current generation of Xbox controllers. So it builds on the same striking color of Shock Blue and Pulse Red. Well, that's another one. Well, that's not it. That's well, they have very, very nice designs in there. Xbox Wireless Controller Daystrike Camo Special Edition. Well, it's not quite true. It's talking about Pulse Red and Shock Blue, and I'm looking at bright green. So I'm not sure what this electric volt's supposed to be, but the price is very steep, $65. So, and then the other one is Daystrike Camo Special Edition, the third installment in our Camo series, following the Night Ops Camo and Arctic Camo as well. Special edition controllers, the first in the latest generation of these, and that are selling also some other very nice merchandise with hoodies and shirts and all sorts. Anyway, if you're interested, you can get one of these, and I will get one of those top-notch controllers for my Xbox Series X once it arrives here. 3 Acorn Publisher games now optimized for Xbox Series X and S. So is it Nacon or Nacon? Are proud to release 3 games optimized for Xbox Series X and S. That's Monster Truck Championship, Hunting Simulator 2, and Tennis World Tour 2 Complete Edition. So since all these titles came out of first on Xbox One last year, we are now focusing on the optimizations made for the next gen consoles. So we have, I think, for Monster Truck, the enhancement is to 4K 60 FPS on Series X, and then 1440p 60 FPS on Xbox Series S. Similar to the old gen, the difference is in the 4K resolution. So that's pretty good. Massive improvement on the frame rate front. Raised to 60, as you could see. Hunting Simulator, the next generation of hunting. The same story, 4K resolution for Series X, 1440 for Xbox Series S, as well as 60 FPS. And then you have Tennis World Tour 2, again the same story, and Tennis World Tour 2 Complete Edition, also 4K and 1440p on Series X or S, and then we have 60 FPS on both platforms. So that's looking incredible. Well, they talked a lot about the optimization, and I'm very, very pleased to see that we are getting the increased frame rate across the board, really, applied to so many different games. I'm not sure how to do it, but certainly very, very interesting, and I want to explore that further once I get my next-gen console. Overcooked, all you can eat now, available on Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S. Well, Overcooked is a really wonderful family friendly game, and you've got to try it. There's so much fun to be had, and you know, these are now accessible on Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S. So that's the new DLC, I think, isn't it? Coming from Ghost Town Games. Yeah, that's right. So it'll be all running up to 4K and smooth 60 FPS. So really, really cool. The Onion King and Kevin. With Overcooked All You Can Eat, we welcome you to enjoy your fill of calamitous cooking fun, and with 200 plus levels on the menu, 200 plus levels, my goodness, we are sure you'll find something to suit your tastes. I certainly shall explore some of it. Then we have joined the Grand Tourney in Night Squad 2 on April the 14th. I'm quite curious to see what they are suggesting. This is coming from ID at Xbox, that's the independent developers, part of Microsoft family. Greetings Xbox community, I'm Laurent McCure from Chainsaw Some Games, and I'm thrilled to finally announce our release date for Night Squad 2. Mark your calendar. Our explosive medieval party is set to arrive on Xbox One on April the 14th, and you can pre-order today. I have to say the pictures there of the knights and everything look absolutely stunning. It's a beautiful, beautiful design. And he said, since our first demo during the summer of 2020, we've shared a ton of information about the new features awaiting Night Squad players in the sequel. We We have revealed the payload mode, the painter mode, and the minion master mode, and a ton of new power-ups, but we kept one big addition a secret. In Night Squad 2, you'll get to complete in a tourney. We feel like it's going to be the most popular way to play. So they're giving us this opportunity. It's like a tournament, you know, and doing various things together. And we can't wait for the Xbox community to jump in Night Squad 2 on April the 14th and witness glorious tourneys. Make sure you pre-order the game, join our Discord, and gather our friends. Well, Discord is definitely a very, very good way through which people can communicate and connect. The only trouble is if you have like hundreds of Discord channels, then there's so many messages coming in. And I have a few coming from my fellow associates who are also streamers, and it's always great to see how, you know, their communities are connecting and interacting. Three of them, well, two of them are the ladies in the 20s, and the third one is Anusdi. She is a professional PUBG player, and it's quite interesting to see how the communities are significantly different, because for the pro player, although she has a very large number of younger guys coming in, they all kind of keep this in mind, that she is a professional, you know. And with the other two streamers, they talk about just about everything, you know, puns, memes, jokes, everything. So it's great really to see such communities being established and being made so interactive. And I'm certainly, well, I'm kind of, you know, wondering what will happen with Discord after I've heard that rumor, $10 billion acquisition. Whether it's true or not, we'll find out in due course. Well, the most important thing is that we are going to be able to play that Watch Dogs Legion for the whole weekend free of charge from today, from now. So if you are listening, if you are a gamer out there on any platform, download Watch Dogs Legion straight away. It's free of charge. You can try it all for 4 days. If you enjoy it, you can buy it on a special discount. And that is the big news, really. That's what really made my week. I have to tell you, in fact, well, let me see, what else did I say there? I'll just give you a bit more on that, shall I? Yeah, I talked about it at the beginning, but I'll give you a bit more because I will be playing it and don't want to go through that later on. Well, if you you have to travel to the open world of near future London to join the ranks of DedSec to take on the private military company called Albion, the criminal underworld allies, and the mysterious zero-day group that left DedSec in shambles. We have some fantastic news, and these are fantastic news because I've heard nothing of it before last night. So this is just like a major revelation, and there were some other things about Watch Dogs, but I can't remember. It was like it was part and parcel of the next content that will be coming to the gamers, and it's the first gift from Ubisoft to us all before all the other bits and pieces start trickling along. So that's basically what it is. And they say starting March 25th, which is today, Watch Dogs Legion is available to play for free on all the platforms, and you can build your own activist resistance group by recruiting any of London's inhabitants from its open world, whether they're a spy, a construction worker, a street magician, a grandmother out on her evening constitutional, or any one of them could be a valuable member of your team, but some may well be taking more convincing than others. You have single player and online modes, which are available during the free trial, and we'll try both, I think. Well, probably I'll try single mode first because I don't want other people who play the game to come in and then, you know, do speed runs, ruin the activity for me. And then such as game of darts at a local pub, so that's the open world activity, or a fierce bare knuckle brawl competition. In single player, 8 boroughs of London are free to explore, and the single player campaign is playable up to the Sky Larson mission. So it's not the full game, right? So there's some restrictions in that. Meanwhile, co-op and PvP options are available in the online modes, but tactical ops are only accessible in the full version. So again, we are sort of somewhat restricted a bit. All progress made during the Watch Dogs Legion free trial will transfer over to the main game should you decide to continue your journey. And if you do, we have even better news. Watch Dogs Legion is on sale through April the 1st on the Xbox Store, with the standard edition getting a 60-70% discount, and the Ultimate Edition is available at 60% discount. So that's really very, very good news. And for anyone who is loving the game, it can't be better than that. And you know, that's the way I've been operating now for a number of years. I tried such games free of charge online, and then later, the week later, I purchased the same game on the discount. So that's probably what will happen to me as well. We'll see. So the question is, what's in the season pass? The season pass is coming up. Here are some highlights. New missions and new characters will be available, including Mina, a former test subject with the ability to mind control citizens, Aiden Pierce from the original Watch Dogs, Wrench from Watch Dogs 2, and Darcy, a member of the Assassin Order who's looking to join DedSec. Aiden and Wrench will also be featuring in Watch Dogs Legion Bloodline, a new storyline that takes place before the events of the core game. Mina and Darcy will both have new missions as well. Season Pass owners will also receive Watch Dogs Complete Edition, which includes the entirety of the original open world hack experience set in Chicago, along with its DLC. Guys, there's never been a better time to join the Resistance. I agree. So if the, let me see, if the basic edition is $60 at the moment, so 2/3 down, so let me work this out, about £20. Yeah, about £20 roughly, maybe 20 something for the game after the 1st of April, because we'll have, I think, let me see. Oh no, I beg your pardon, I stand corrected. The special discount will be applied from next Tuesday, no, from today until next Tuesday. No, hang on a minute, what is it? I'm getting it all wrong. Watch Dogs Legion is on sale through April the 1st on Xbox Store, so that means we have a number of days. What's the date today? 25th of March. Right, we'll find out. Well, in any case, the special offer is for you to grab out there right now, so you can just simply try the game first, and then as we come to the end of Sunday, if you like the game, get it on that massive discount. I think particularly good for the Ultimate Edition, because otherwise the Ultimate is about $120 and you're getting a 60% discount, so that's 2/3 off, 120. It's about £40 in all that will cost you in order to get the special edition. So that's the big news, that's the biggest news, that's the most remarkable, fantastic, phenomenal, great, wonderful, terrific news that really made my day, my week, my month. I'm going to be able to play Watch Dogs Legion, the game that takes place in my own city, from today, and that will be commencing very shortly from 4 o'clock, I think, and I'll have a short break in a moment. But before we wrap up, I'm still very excited and elated about Watch Dogs Legion. I can't really shake it off. I also want to tell you I am really delighted, I'm truly delighted and excited to have played Empire of Sin. Empire of Sin on Xbox Game Pass, introduced last week on Friday, and ever since I went into that world of Prohibition in Chicago of 1920s, I've not been able to leave it. I'm just absolutely hooked. I can't believe how good the game is. It's a mixture of Prohibition-based RPG, story-driven with lots of characters and situations, together with RTS, turn-based strategy game, and it works fantastically well. It's so good. And I think Jeff and Larry said that it had elements of Wasteland, and certainly I think of Gears Tactics, not in the story, but in the actual concept, where you are playing an RPG that's delivered within the environment of real-time strategy that's also turn-based. And there have been several games popping up like this during the last 18 months, and I think Empire of Sin is excelling, and I just absolutely love it. It's, extraordinary graphics and great gameplay, and you really need to be thinking a lot when planning what to do next for any of the gangsters who want to be ruling the Empire of Sin in Chicago of 1920s. And I'm playing Goldie, and she's a girl from down south who kind of assumed a different identity of a female gangster from Canada, and basically mastered her French accent and tried to really muscle out all the other hoods in the area. And so far so good. I'm doing really well. I'm getting lots of customers. My empire's building. No major incursions, no major clashes with other mobsters, and it's a game you can play for decades. Loads of gangsters that you can select, and each one of them will have different subplot and different enterprise. Absolutely incredible. So I'm very, very happy at the moment. I'm very happy because I'm going to be enjoying my Watch Dogs Legion session this weekend. I discovered this wonderful RPG stroke RTS game, Empire of Sin, which I've earmarked already for a while, but it's the price, and now when it's included on Game Pass, it's a no-brainer. You just download and play. And in addition to that, I also downloaded The Outer Worlds, the game that we are going to be both playing and streaming here, part of our recent DRBMiller introducing sessions, and they really changed the game altogether. It's so different compared to the way it was, and I couldn't believe it, really. I just went in there a couple of days ago to have a look, and I played it at Infogame a couple of years ago when the game was released during its first release week. It just feels very, very different. It's massively enhanced, and there's a lot of new content, and another game similar to Fallout 76 or Sea of Thieves, massive big open world which is constantly evolving and changing. So what you played initially is no longer there, and what you see today is significantly different. Right, so this was my podcast for today. The day today is Thursday, 25th of March of 2021. The vast majority of our time here today was spent on our community and the questions that came in response to our yesterday's broadcast, notably all to do with Twitch streams. So we talked a lot about it today, and I'm hoping that you guys are receiving some interesting tips, maybe some recommendations, some ideas on what you can do. I was responding to our friend Robin from Houston, Texas, who indeed was asking questions in response to our broadcast from yesterday, and really it's so great to see that our friends are very interested, and that the community is energetic, busy and thriving. And I really want to invite others to do their own streams. And I know that, for instance, our friend James Carter from Warzone Community said that as soon as he gets his fiber, which I think is more or less imminent, he will also do some Twitch streams. So maybe two of us will collaborate. Maybe we'll have sessions online, reviewing our activity and doing other things, which is going to be the next step in the right direction for Mr. DRBMiller. So thank you for watching, thank you for being here with us today, thank you for supporting the channel. I'll have a short break, and after that the premiere, Watch Dogs Legion, here on my channel on Twitch, and I really, really, really look forward to that. So stay with us, and once we come back, there's going to be Watch Dogs Legion. See you all later.